You've been wondering why things haven't been adding up. Why, no matter how hard you try, it always feels like something or someone is holding you back. But what if I told you that this isn't resistance, it's redirection? That the very chaos you've been running from is the same fire that's preparing you for something far greater than anything you've ever imagined. You're not cursed, you're not broken, you're not behind, you're being aligned. Every sleepless night, every silent tear, every door that closed in your face, none of it was a mistake. The truth is, you are not here by chance. You didn't stumble onto this message. You were summoned, called, drawn by a pull deeper than logic. The reason your life has felt out of place is because you were never designed to blend in. You're a signal in a world of noise, a flame in a world that's grown cold. And the moment you decided to click on this was the moment the heavens said, now. This is the hour where things begin to make sense. You've waited long enough. The universe has been watching, the angels have been recording, and your name has been whispered in sacred spaces. You are the one they've been preparing, not the one who had it easy, but the one who kept moving when it would have been easier to quit. The chosen ones are rarely recognized at first glance, because their glow doesn't come from spotlight, but from the fire they survived. And now something divine has been released with your name on it. But it won't wait forever. There's a deadline stamped in eternity, and midnight is the cutoff. The deposit is ready, but only for those who show up in faith. Before your first heartbeat, something eternal was spoken over your existence, not in human language, but in the purest vibration of divine intent. That's why you've always felt things deeper than others, why you've walked into rooms and sensed the heaviness that no one dared to mention, why you've cried over things that didn't even affect you directly, because your soul is wired for more than the surface. You carry a sacred imprint, an invisible seal that marks you as different, not better, not above, but burdened with purpose. The problem is, no one told you how heavy it would feel. No one warned you that the path of the chosen is often one of solitude, silence, and misunderstanding. You've been laughed at for your visions, underestimated because of your gentleness, and overlooked because your power wasn't loud. But here's the secret. The hidden ones are the most dangerous to darkness. You are not who people think you are. You are who God called you to be. And that identity was written into your spirit before your body was ever formed. The spiritual contract over your life was sealed in a language only heaven understands, and the enemy's been trying to break it ever since you were born. That's why the battles started early, why the trauma showed up in your childhood, why you were tempted to believe you were unworthy. Because if you ever truly woke up, if you ever really stepped into who you were, the game would change forever. The miracle that's ready for you isn't just a reward, it's a response to years of spiritual loyalty, even when your mind was confused. A response to the nights you prayed and didn't hear anything back, yet stayed faithful. This deposit is the universe's way of saying, well done. Now let me show you why it was all worth it. But you must activate it. It doesn't come through wishing. It comes through walking. You've been through enough, more than most people could handle. But what they didn't see was that the breaking was never meant to ruin you. It was the exact opposite. You had to be crushed, not because you did something wrong, but because what's inside you had to be extracted. Think about it. Grapes don't become wine until they're pressed. Olives don't release their oil until they're crushed. Diamonds don't shine until they're cut. And gold isn't purified until it's burned. You were never fragile. You were chosen for refinement. Every betrayal, every rejection, every moment of doubt, it was all pressure. Divine pressure applied with precision, not to harm you, but to reveal you. You thought you lost people because you weren't good enough, but really, your spirit outgrew the frequency they were operating on. You were never meant to be surrounded by everyone. You were meant to be selected by the few who see you clearly. And even when they left, even when it all fell apart, something inside you refused to die. That was not survival. That was sacred. That was the seed of the chosen, buried deep and waiting for the right moment to bloom. And now, the harvest is ready. Your miracle isn't coming, it's here, but it's not arriving in comfort. It's arriving at midnight, in silence, when only the awakened will be watching. You are not at the end, you are at the edge. Everything up to this point has been training. Every delay was mercy, every failure was protection. The wait was never meant to crush you, it was meant to crown you. And now, if you can recognize the signs, if you can feel the shift in your soul, then you already know it's time. Anda bilang, make longer. ChatGPT bilang. Absolutely. Here's an extended version of chapters 1, 2, and 3, woven together in flowing, natural speech, suitable for a 30-minute video. These sections are richly expanded to deepen the emotional engagement, spiritual urgency, and profound storytelling your viewers are seeking. You've been feeling it for a while now, haven't you? That inner unrest, that undeniable tug in your spirit, like something just beyond the veil of this world, has been calling your name. You can't explain it to others. Most wouldn't understand even if you tried, because it's not logical. It doesn't make sense on paper. But deep in your bones, in the sacred space between waking and dreaming, there's been a sound, a spiritual frequency, whispering, you are meant for more. You've always known you were different, not in the way the world defines it, not louder, not flashier, not more successful, but deeper, more sensitive, more awake. While others sleepwalk through life chasing things that fade, you've been haunted by a hunger for something real, something eternal, something your soul can touch, even if your eyes can't see it. And maybe you tried to silence that voice, tried to blend in, to follow the crowd, to bury your calling beneath logic and routine. But it never worked, did it? Because the call of the chosen doesn't leave you alone. It echoes in the silence, burns in the middle of the night, and refuses to be ignored. Every detour you've taken has brought you back to this moment, right here. And no, it's not an accident, it's alignment. You are not just here to survive this world, you're here to shift it, to wake people up, to carry a light that breaks chains and heals wounds no one else can even see. And the reason it's felt so hard, so heavy, so lonely, is because you've been carrying something divine that hasn't yet been born. But it's ready now. Your miracle is not on layaway. It's not far off in some distant future. It's been prepared, wrapped, and marked for release. The moment you were born, heaven deposited a miracle into the spiritual vault of your destiny. But unlike what the world teaches, blessings aren't released by accident. They respond to readiness, and heaven has just determined you are ready. You've been refined, not punished, not overlooked, refined. The miracle that's waiting on you isn't a reward, it's a response to your tears, to your quiet strength, to the moments you showed up when no one was clapping, when no one was watching, when quitting would have been easier. Those moments were recorded in realms beyond this one, and now that spiritual ledger is being opened. A transaction is about to be made, but only if you step forward, only if you recognize the time. Midnight isn't just an hour, it's a portal, a divine crossing point between the old version of you and the one who's about to rise. Because whether you know it or not, you made an agreement before you got here. Long before you entered this body, before your first cry, your soul stood in the presence of the divine and said yes. Yes to the mission, yes to the burden, yes to being chosen. You didn't come into this world empty-handed. You were sent with a blueprint written in light. That's why nothing has ever fully satisfied you. That's why worldly success has always felt hollow. Because you weren't made to collect things. You were made to release truth. You weren't born to chase approval. You were created to activate purpose. And that sacred agreement is still alive, still waiting to be fulfilled. But contracts have clauses, terms, timing, and yours is nearing its release clause. The seal is about to be broken, and when it does, the flow will begin, unless you choose to look away. Unless you treat this like just another message in a world full of noise. The chosen don't scroll past. They don't ignore the signs. They don't need convincing. They feel the shift. They know when it's time. And here's what they never told you. The pain was part of the plan. You weren't being punished. You were being prepared. That's why the breaking had to come first. That's why life pushed you to your knees. Because the anointing you carry couldn't flow through pride, through comfort, through ease. It had to be forged in fire, not to destroy you, but to unlock you. You had to be broken open for the oil to pour. The tears, they watered the soil of your future. The heartbreak, it cleared out the false so the true could emerge. The isolation, it created a sacred space where you could finally hear the whisper of the divine without distraction. You see, grapes don't become wine by sitting on a vine. They must be crushed. Olives don't release oil until they're pressed. Diamonds don't shine until they're broken, cut and polished. Gold is not purified without fire. And chosen ones are not activated without deep, holy pressure. If you've wondered why your life has felt like a storm that never ends, it's because your promise is bigger than most. You don't carry a small assignment. You were marked to lead, to awaken, to shift generations. That's why you couldn't drown. That's why, even when you felt like letting go, something held you up. That something was not chance. It was covenant. Now the hour is late. The room is quiet. Midnight is drawing near, and heaven is holding a deposit that has your name on it. Not just a blessing, but a turning point. A divine release that will alter the direction of your life if only you step forward. But it can't be accessed through hesitation, not through doubt, only through faith. Not perfect faith, but present faith. The kind that says, even if I don't feel ready, I trust the timing. The kind that moves before it sees, that acts before it understands. The miracle is hovering above your name, your home, your future, waiting for you to say yes, to show up, to believe that all the pain, all the waiting, all the spiritual warfare, it wasn't in vain. It was the preparation for this exact moment. So, what will you do, chosen one? Will you rise or retreat? Will you delay or declare? Will you recognize that the fire didn't burn you, it baptized you, that the storm didn't sink you, it refined your strength, that the silence wasn't abandonment, it was initiation, because the miracle is not the destination, it's the door, the beginning of the becoming, and it's ready now, but it won't wait forever. There's a reason midnight matters. It's more than just a time on the clock. It's a spiritual threshold, a sacred window where destiny shifts. In every ancient story, midnight is the hour of divine movement. It's when chains broke in the prison cell. It's when angels passed over the marked doorposts. It's when cries turned into breakthroughs, when battles turned in favor of the faithful. But only for those who were awake, only for those who stayed ready, watching in the silence while others slept through their assignment. Midnight isn't just the end of one day, it's the birthing of a new reality. In that brief moment when one day dies and another rises, the spiritual realm opens. And for those who are aligned, who are listening, who are ready, that moment becomes more than symbolic. It becomes transformational. You see, your miracle isn't delayed. It's waiting for this window. It's been hovering, stored in the invisible realm, tethered to your name by strands of faith and obedience. And when the hour strikes, everything can change in an instant. But here's the truth. If you're spiritually asleep, you'll miss it. If you've allowed disappointment to dull your vision, if you've let doubt bury your faith, that portal will close before you even know it was open. That's why this matters. That's why this message found you now. Because the spiritual window is approaching, and your awareness is the key that unlocks it. This isn't about superstition or hype. This is about sacred alignment. There is a divine rhythm to this universe, and midnight is when the veil thins, when what was locked begins to loosen, when what was blocked begins to flow. This isn't a metaphor. This is a moment, and your miracle doesn't operate on the world's time. It follows spiritual calendars. Seasons where doors open that were previously sealed. Opportunities that align not because of hustle, but because of obedience. Midnight is one of those seasons, and the chosen ones, they feel it in their bones. They sense the pull. They don't need external confirmation. Something inside them rises like a tide, quietly but powerfully, and says, "This is it." The chosen know when the hour turns, when the winds shift. They feel the rumble before the release, and when it comes, they don't hesitate. They step into it. Because something sacred is stored in the heavenly vaults, blessings with your name on them, wrapped in grace, seasoned in delay, so that your character could grow strong enough to carry the weight of what's coming. You don't want an early release. You want the right release, and the right time is now approaching. But you must be awake, you must be watching, you must be willing to move, even if the path is unfamiliar. Midnight is for the faithful. Midnight is for the ready. Midnight is for the chosen who've been waiting not just with hope, but with expectation. You need to know something most people never hear. Your name is not forgotten. It's not lost in the sea of souls. It's engraved in the vault of the blessed. Every time you cried out, your voice was recorded. Every moment you held on while the world collapsed around you, heaven took note. Every time you gave when you had little, stayed when it was easier to leave, forgave when it would have felt better to hate. Those moments were stored. They didn't vanish. They weren't overlooked. They were added to your spiritual account. You see, the chosen carry a different kind of currency. It's not money. It's not fame. It's obedience, faithfulness, quiet endurance. And those things build compound interest in the unseen realm. There's a vault, yes, a real one, not of steel and locks, but of light and code, and it's been filling with every act of unseen obedience you've made. And that vault? It doesn't open for everyone. It doesn't respond to begging, to manipulation, to shortcuts. It opens only to alignment, to identity, to those who know who they are and whose they are. Your name was written there before you were born. You were marked long before anyone knew your face. And the deposit waiting inside isn't a random blessing. It's not one size fits all. It's custom built for you, for your purpose, your pain, your calling. That's why you've been through more than others. That's why you felt invisible. Because heaven was protecting what it was preparing. If the world had seen your true value too soon, they would have tried to misuse it. So you were hidden, covered, preserved, but not forgotten, never forgotten. Now the door is loosening, the lock is weakening, the seal is trembling, not because time wore it down, but because your readiness rose to meet it, because your growth has aligned with your grace. And now that miracle is reaching toward you, but it won't force itself. It waits for recognition. It waits for the moment your faith says, I'm ready. It waits for you to stop questioning whether you're worthy and to start walking like you are. Because it was never about being perfect. It was about being prepared. And you are. You didn't come all this way for nothing. You didn't survive that fire just to watch others flourish. Your miracle isn't coming late. It's coming exactly on time. You may not know this yet, but the reason the battle has felt so intense lately, the confusion, the heaviness, the warfare in your mind, is because the enemy knows who you are, even before you do. Darkness can recognize light, even when that light is still hidden. And the truth is, your entire life has been a strategy of sabotage. Not because you're weak, but because you're powerful. The more sacred your calling, the more savage the opposition. That's why things hit you early. Childhood wounds, generational pain, abandonment, addiction, fear. The enemy saw the glow in you and tried to dim it before it could become a fire. He tried to isolate you, distract you, disqualify you, not because you failed, but because you had favor. You weren't attacked because you were cursed. You were attacked because you were called. And deep down, even when you didn't have the words for it, your spirit fought back. That inner strength you never knew you had, that was your birthright. The darkness threw everything at you, and you're still here. That alone is proof of who you are. The enemy couldn't kill your calling. He couldn't shut down your destiny. And now he's terrified. Because if you ever fully wake up, if you ever really believe in who you are and walk in the truth of what's inside you, everything shifts. Not just for you, but for everyone connected to you. That's why you feel the pressure now. It's not random. It's a final attempt to keep you distracted, discouraged, delayed. But it's too late. The seal is breaking. The miracle is in motion. And the only thing left is for you to step into it. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Now. Because this miracle doesn't respond to delay. It responds to obedience. Your yes, your faith, your willingness to say, I won't shrink anymore. I won't second guess what God already confirmed. I am chosen, I am marked, and I'm ready. Because the enemy already knows what you're about to discover. When the chosen walk in alignment, nothing can stop what's been set in motion. Not fear, not failure, not even your past. The miracle has been released, and it's looking for you. Everyone talks about miracles as if they're distant, unreachable, reserved for someone else more deserving, more perfect, more holy. But that's not how the spiritual realm works. Heaven doesn't respond to perfection, it responds to obedience. Obedience is the true currency of the miraculous, not talent, not popularity, not a spotless past, but obedience. Quiet, consistent obedience, the kind that doesn't make headlines, the kind no one claps for, the kind that listens even when it hurts, that moves even when the path is invisible. That's the key. That's the thing the chosen understand. That miracles don't fall like rain. They rise like dawn after someone has stayed awake through the darkest night, trusting the sun would come even when there was no warmth yet. The chosen obey the nudge. They don't wait for a crowd. They don't ask for 10 signs. They just feel the pull, and they move. That's what unlocks it. Because a miracle doesn't come to validate your faith after the fact. It comes in response to your step. And for many of you, that step is the only thing between you and the flood that's been waiting to burst open. You think you're waiting on the miracle, but what if the miracle is waiting on you? You've been praying, asking, hoping, but heaven has been saying, move first. Trust isn't just a thought, it's a walk. When you feel led to leave the job, to call that person, to forgive, to begin again, to start what you've been scared to start. Those are the gateways. Heaven doesn't just watch your heart, it watches your feet. Are you willing to move without the full picture? Are you willing to step when it still looks dark? That's the test. That's what separates the chosen from the curious. The ones who wait for comfort stay stuck. The ones who move in faith step into overflow. The chosen don't ask, what if it fails? They ask, what if it's finally time? That shift in perspective opens realms. You've been asking for a miracle, but the miracle might be on the other side of an uncomfortable yes. And no, it doesn't have to make sense. It rarely does. The path of the chosen isn't paved with logic, it's paved with trust, radical trust, the kind that puts everything on the line, because your spirit knows what your mind can't yet explain. The kind of trust that breaks generational chains, that reroutes timelines, that makes demons tremble. That's the level of obedience that opens vaults. That's the kind of faith that commands miracles to manifest, not someday, but now. So ask yourself honestly, what have you been delaying? What instruction have you been pushing to the side, waiting for a more convenient time, a clearer sign, a perfect situation? Because your breakthrough is connected to the very thing you're avoiding. Your miracle isn't stuck, it's stationed, positioned on the other side of the thing you're hesitating to do. And until you obey that last instruction, nothing will feel aligned. Nothing will feel settled, because obedience is the bridge, and when the chosen finally walk across it, the heavens open wide. That's when the impossible becomes natural. That's when provision flows from places you never expected. That's when people show up, doors unlock, favor surrounds you, not because you forced it, but because you obeyed. And that obedience, that quiet, faithful yes, that's the real miracle. Some people are still asking, am I really chosen? But let me tell you something that will settle it once and for all. If you've ever looked around and felt like you didn't fit in, not just socially, but spiritually, if you've ever sensed there was more to life, but didn't know why you couldn't settle for less, you're chosen. If your heart has always beat to a different rhythm, if you've always felt pulled to higher places, Even when the climb was lonely and the air got thin, you're chosen. If you've been through things that should have broken you, but somehow you're still here, more aware, more awake, more sensitive to the unseen, you're chosen. That pull in your chest, that ache in your soul that refuses to let you numb out and give up, that's not delusion, that's destiny. That's heaven tapping your shoulder saying, don't forget who you are. The chosen are rarely loud, they're often overlooked, but inside they carry a depth that can't be faked, a fire that doesn't go out, no matter how many storms they've weathered. They're the ones who cry at injustice, even when no one else notices. They're the ones who dream at night in symbols and wake up knowing they've been somewhere else. They're the ones who feel people's pain before it's spoken. The ones who get attacked the moment they step into purpose. The ones who feel like they've lived 1,000 lives in one. You don't get chosen because you want to be. You're chosen because heaven needs you to be. Because there's something you carry that no one else does. And that something is what the world is waiting on. Don't let the world lie to you. Being chosen doesn't mean being perfect. It means being set apart. Being pulled out of the crowd even when you didn't ask for it. It means being called to walk when others sit, to speak when others stay silent, to heal when others hurt, to build when others destroy. It's not glamorous, it's not easy, but it's divine. And the signs have always been there. The way you see things differently, the way people are drawn to you for answers they don't even know how to ask. The way you've been protected, even when you didn't realize it. The way you've kept getting back up again and again, like something inside you refuses to let the darkness win. That something is your assignment. That's your confirmation. And here's the truth. Being chosen means your life won't always make sense to others. It's not supposed to. Because your path isn't theirs. Your instructions won't match theirs. Your timing will seem off to people who are still walking by sight. But that's okay. You weren't called to be understood. You were called to be faithful. And now your faithfulness has reached heaven's ears. The shift you've been feeling isn't just emotional. It's spiritual. Something is being stirred. You're being repositioned, reassigned, realigned, and everything in your life is about to make sense. Not because it was easy, but because it was exactly what you needed to prepare for this moment. You are not here to play small. You are not here to blend in. You are not here to merely survive. You are here to awaken, to carry light into dark places, to speak when others stay quiet, to lead when others lose their way. That's the weight you've been feeling, the holy burden of the chosen. And now the time has come. The seal is loosening. The miracle is drawing near. And your name is being spoken again in sacred places. You were never forgotten. You were hidden. And now you're being called forward, not to be seen, but to become. There's a truth few are brave enough to speak aloud. Not every door stays open forever. Not every invitation lasts until you feel ready. In the spiritual realm, timing is everything. There are moments, sacred, rare moments, when heaven opens, when alignments converge, when destinies hover just within reach. And when those moments come, you have to move. You have to choose, because grace is eternal, yes, but opportunities are seasonal. And if you've ever felt like you missed something, like a moment passed you by before you realized its significance, you already know how painful it can be to recognize a miracle after it's gone. That's what makes this moment so important. This isn't just another message. This is a divine window, a narrow corridor between where you've been and where you were always meant to be. But that corridor doesn't stay open indefinitely. And not because God wants to punish you, but because spiritual portals close when they are not entered. They are openings meant to be stepped into by faith, not studied to death by fear. You have to understand that divine timing is not waiting for your comfort. It moves in rhythm with obedience. You've been sensing it, things stirring, shifting, even if nothing looks different yet. That's the whisper of urgency you've been feeling, the restlessness in your spirit that won't let you sit still. That's the sign. That's how the chosen are warned, not with loud alarms, but with a quiet, persistent knowing, a feeling that says, "Do it now." The enemy loves hesitation. He loves when the chosen overthink, because he knows every moment spent doubting is a moment the miracle sits unclaimed. You think you need more time, but what you really need is more trust. This door won't wait for your fear to leave. It opens when your faith steps forward despite fear. It opens for the bold, the believing, the ones who move when no one claps, no one watches, and no one understands. And what's on the other side of that door? It's not just blessings, it's transformation, it's clarity, it's identity, it's peace that doesn't vanish when things go wrong, it's purpose that outlasts pain. It's the life you were meant to live, not the one you settled for. But that version of your life can only begin when you walk through the door. And it's open now. Midnight isn't just coming. For you, it's already begun. The question isn't whether the door will open. The question is whether you'll walk through it, whether you'll choose faith over familiarity, whether you'll stop waiting for confirmation and start living like you're already chosen. Because if you wait too long, you'll notice the shift, not in anger or punishment, but in silence. You'll feel it, the heaviness, the opportunity passing, and you'll realize that miracles don't disappear. They're reassigned. The blessings that aren't claimed are redirected to those who show up, those who believe. Heaven wastes nothing, but it doesn't force anything either. You have to want it. You have to say yes, not just with your words, but with your steps, your choices, your willingness to walk away from what's safe and into what's sacred. And now it's time to seal everything you've heard with your faith. This is not just about receiving something. This is about becoming something, because the chosen ones don't just receive miracles, they carry them. They become the miracle in someone else's life. Your obedience isn't just unlocking your future. It's unlocking doors for people you haven't even met yet. Your breakthrough is tied to generations. There are people waiting for your yes. People who will only awaken when you walk in your assignment. That's why the pressure has been so strong. That's why the warfare has been so constant. Because this moment isn't small, it's a pivot point. And once you cross it, things will never be the same again. So how do you seal it? You speak it, you declare it, you act like it's already yours. You stop asking if you're ready and start trusting that if the call came, then readiness was already inside you. You stop looking for proof and start becoming the evidence. You hold your head higher, you walk with fire in your eyes, and you stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You silence the voice of fear with the louder voice of purpose. You don't need more signs. You are the sign. You are the miracle someone else has been praying for. You've been asking heaven to move, but heaven has been waiting for you to move. So move. Take the first step, even if you don't know where it leads. Start the thing you've been delaying. Say the words you've been afraid to say. Break the pattern. Let go of the weight. Choose alignment over approval. Choose obedience over explanation. Choose becoming over belonging. Because this is the moment. This is the call. The miracle is no longer on the way. It's at the door. But only you can open it. Only you can activate what's been hovering for years. Only you can turn the divine deposit into divine release. Don't let this be another message you forget by morning. Let this be the moment you remember forever. The moment your spirit stood up and said, "I'm ready." The moment you stopped waiting for a sign and became one. The moment you moved and everything changed. Because the miracle is not just for you, it's been waiting on you, and it's ready, now, before midnight. This is your time. This is your door. This is your becoming. Act now and step into everything you were born to carry.